The Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network is proud to present Old Dominion Athletic Conference basketball from inside Turner Gymnasium. Hello again, basketball fans. My name is Kyle Haney. We are set at Wayne Profit Court inside Turner to bring you some ODAC women's hoops between the the Washington and Lee Generals and the Lynchburg Hornets. The Generals come in undefeated at 3-0 on the season. Lynchburg 1-4 this year. The most recent game was a victory for the Lynchburg Hornets, so reason to think that things might be turning around for Allison Nichols and her squad. They will be going up against not just one of the conference's best, but one of the nation's best. It's a Washington and Lee team that made it all the way to the NCAA quarterfinal last season behind their star, Mary Slicer. We'll be talking about Mary Slicer quite a bit, but to every Goliath, there's a David, right? And maybe we shouldn't even speak about it in those terms because it's still early in the season. You don't quite know what you have from your ball club if you're Lynchburg or if you're Washington and Lee. And worth pointing out right there that the Generals are under the direction of a brand new head coach. It's Brittany Kemp in her first season. She was at St. Mary's of Maryland last year. So still plenty of unknowns, but obviously you look at the 3-0 record, and Washington and Lee is off to a pretty solid start. The Generals and Hornets do have one common opponent coming in to this ball game. It'll be Southern Virginia. Washington and Lee beat SVU 69-61 in their first game of the season. Lynchburg lost to Southern Virginia in this gym 76-44. First few games of the season, Lynchburg really wasn't up to full strength yet. They were missing Bree Spainauer, who was finishing up the volleyball season. We know what a key cog in the wheel for Lynchburg she is. Casey Kelly has been dealing with injury this year, but Lynchburg says that Casey Kelly is available and ready to go in this ball game here today. Lynchburg will be wearing their home whites. They're averaging 57 points per game, giving up 59.8 points per game. Washington and Lee will be in the road blues with the white trim. Generals are scoring 77.3 points per game. They give up 66.7. So the Generals, you can just look at those numbers, and if you want to combine them, that tells you a lot about the pace of the game. Generals do like to play up-tempo basketball. Coach Allison Nichols reviewed the scouting report with me earlier this afternoon and said, look, they want to get out and run. They run in transition. They run on your misses. They run on your makes. They really like to run all the time, and you saw it right there. A quick shot hoisted up almost immediately from Elka Prekel that is no good. And Lynchburg will head the other direction, scoring on the basket to our right. We'll run down the starters for you here just kind of as we go. It's Olivia Harris with the basketball for Lynchburg. She'll pass to Kate Littlejohn. Back to Bree Spainauer. There's three of your starters right there. Brooke Kaysen posted up in the right corner, was calling for the basketball. Instead, they go to the left corner, and that one is thrown away, looking for Taylor Brown. So there's your five for Lynchburg. Harris, Littlejohn, Brown, Spainauer, and Kaysen. The other side, the starters for the Mary Washington Generals, Washington and Lee. I beg your pardon. I tripped over that once before and don't even know why. It's the Washington and Lee Generals. But here's a bounce pass inside to Zoo Rain. She'll get the first bucket of the ball game for either ball club. Rain on the board. She's joined in the starting lineup with number 50, Mary Slicer. We'll pay special attention for her. Nearly all of the opponents do. And if you don't pay special attention to Slicer, really, it's at your own peril. Number 30, Riley Bryant is a starter out there. Here comes Zoo Rain with the closeout on Harris. The other two starters for Washington and Lee. I did it again. Washington and Lee will get out and run on the miss. But the other starters include number 14, Quinn McGinnis. There's a three in and out, and then an offensive rebound underneath by Riley Bryant. Generals with an early 4-0 advantage. Washington and Lee likes to shoot the three ball. It's 29 attempts per game from beyond the arc for Washington and Lee. Lynchburg, on their side, they hoist up 27 long balls per contest so far. Lynchburg's actually got a higher make rate. They make 7.5 three-pointers per game, shooting at 28%. Speaking of the three-pointer, that one goes down from Riley Bryant. It's an early 7-0 start. Hot shooting, a story for us early here. And Washington and Lee is getting out shooting early in that shot clock. They get it up quickly. And really, the offense has not gone through Schleissner yet, which you will see at some point, but just intriguing when you check out the other options for Washington and Lee, and those other options are available, and they're very good as well. You don't win the ODAC conference last year without having some people to go along with your star. Little John will drive and try to hook one from the right side of the backboard. No good. Taylor Brown fouled. Ooh, pardon me, it was not a foul. This ball will go to Washington and Lee. Our LHSN crew today is small in numbers but large in talent. And I mean specifically my navigator, Josh Smith, who's doing a little bit of everything on the broadcast today. Short-staffed, it is Thanksgiving break, and there's a quick timeout after Riley Bryant knocks down another triple. That one from straight away. Generals are rolling early, 10-0 the start for Washington and Lee. We'll pause for just a moment, try to get everything squared away, and then bring it back with more basketball in a second. You're watching ODAC Women's Hoops on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Basketball on Lakeside Drive. I'm Kyle Haney. Josh Smith is our outstanding technical and spiritual advisor. And you're watching Women's Hoops. It's the first conference game of the season for Lynchburg and Washington and Lee. For Lynchburg, it is game 5 of 26. For Washington and Lee, game 4 of 26. Second home game of the season for the Lynchburg Hornets. Lost to Southern Virginia a couple weeks ago. Look at Bree Spainhour. Nice move to get to the rack, but she could not finish the deal. Lynchburg needs a stop desperately. He'll kind of get one there as the pass from Quinn McGinnis sails over the intended target, out of play. It is a 10-0 advantage. 6:44 remaining in the first period. Yeah, we'll open up Old Dominion Athletic Conference play here. Still plenty of non-conference matchups, and these two teams will meet again February 8th in Lexington. Offensive foul going against the Hornets. I believe it was Kate Littlejohn whistled on that one. We'll see if the scoreboard will confirm that for us. We've got a modest crowd inside the gym today. They're making some noise. Washington and Lee always travels well. Lynchburg always gets great support from their fans, too. 6:30 left to play in the first period. Lynchburg, I would argue, still looking for a stop, even though Washington and Lee turned it over on the previous possession. There's Schleissner with a touch, kind of a handoff play for McGinnis, who got to the left side of the iron, but the shot would not fall. Lynchburg will get out and hustle their way into the front court. Macy Mullins is checked into the ball game for Olivia Harris. That's Mullins dribbling straight away between the rings. Now right free throw line extended to Bree Spainhour. Across to Brooke Kaysen, no dribbles, just kind of surveys the defense. It'll be player-to-player or man-to-man defense, if you prefer, for both squads most of the game. Allison Nichols said she was not too keen on going to a zone in this ball game against the Generals. Didn't rule it out, but mostly they want to stick with the person-to-person defense. Well, that's an interesting trend in women's basketball, because it used to be you still just said man-to-man defense, the defensive coverage. But now there is a sort of a trend and an increase in people saying player-to-player or person-to-person. How about the person this time in question is Brooke Kaysen. The junior from Fishersville, Virginia, knocks it down to get Lynchburg on the board, 10-3. Generals still on top and by a comfortable margin here, first quarter. Lynchburg closing out nicely on the three-point line. That had to be discussed in the timeout huddle. There's a 3-second violation, I believe. Lane violation on the Generals. That's one way to get a stop if you're Lynchburg, I guess. It's hard to necessarily take credit for that as the defense, but you do get the basketball back. Littlejohn will get across the timeline on impulse power and now cut through after a pass to Bree Spainhour, left wing. Littlejohn gets it back, looking inside. Post entry. Brown on Slicner. Good defense there from Slicner, and that is a big part of her game. Yes, she scores, she passes, she rebounds, but she is an outstanding defender. 3.3 blocks per game last season, and also picked up 2.2 steals per game. Slicner had a couple bites at the apple, but never got to the core and finally got fouled. She'll take a trip free throw line left with her team leading by 7. And with Slicner on the line, let's start talking about all the accolades for her. There are plenty to choose from. She's closing in on 1,000 rebounds. Last season, she averaged over 17 boards per game, which is just a number that really kind of boggles your mind. 17 rebounds per game. It's like a Dennis Rodman or a Wilt Chamberlain kind of a number there. 11-3. The lead is up, and the second one goes in for Slicner. But over 17 boards per game. And on top of that, she scored 23.9 points per game. Averaged almost 2.5 assists per game. She's a 62% free throw shooter. That's really about the only area she's not elite. And at 62%, I would still throw that in the good category. She shot over 40% from three-point range last season. Conference Player of the Year, back-to-back first teamer. And she was a preseason All-American. She's already picked up the National Player of the Week award this year. Second week of the season. That was the most recent award given out by D3Hoops.com and also the Basketball Coaches Association. So Mary Slicner, a 6'1" junior from Charlotte, North Carolina. And yes, she is a post, but with her speed and her skill set, she really becomes a guard, and she becomes almost positionless. She could do anything and go anywhere and impact the game in so many ways. Slicner is on the bench right now. Kat Pettigrove is checked in. There's a driving layup from number 14, Quinn McGinnis. The junior from Columbia, New Jersey, leads the team in assists, but she can score as well, and the lead is back to 11 for Washington and Lee. Here's Casey Kelly in the ball game for Lynchburg. Speed rim run there from Kelly. We'll get a chance to talk about her outstanding athleticism. Casey Kelly is an all-conference performer out on the track and field side for Lynchburg. It's interesting, her freshman year, Allison Nichols was talking to the track coaches saying, look, she's got major bounce. She's got hops. She's got speed. Why don't you talk to her and see what she can do? And Casey Kelly did a lot out there, including picking up the triple jump, which if you know anything about track and field, the triple jump is the one that really takes a lot of skill. I mean, the long jump and the high jump, sure, there's skill involved, but that's mainly just the athleticism and the pure hops. But when you add that triple jump, you got to get the steps right and do all those things. It's a fun event. Casey Kelly's got a knack for it, and she is competitive in some other events as well. Part of some relay teams. Traveling violation will give Lynchburg the ball. Seems like the defensive effort has picked up for the Hornets. They trail by 10 as Casey Kelly went 1 of 2 from her trip to the free throw line. But you saw her athleticism. It's Kelly at the high post now. Lynchburg working it around the perimeter. Step back 3 on the way is no good from Audra Petty. Audra Petty had a team-high 16 points in the win versus Wilson. Most recently, the victory for Lynchburg, their first of the season. That's worth revisiting that a bit. Lynchburg did beat Wilson 70-38. It was a game that was tied after quarter number 1, but the Hornets really pulled away in the second quarter and then also in the second half. Team shot 37.9% from three-point range in that one. That was 11 of 29. No triples yet for Lynchburg. Washington and Lee has had their share. They'll go inside to Pettigrove. She'll turn and look at the rim. Can't convert. Lauren Actor runs the rebound down. Second chance opportunity coming for the for the Washington and Lee Generals. Pressure defense from Casey Kelly. Couldn't quite secure the steal, but it will force the Generals to reset with 9 on the shot clock. We haven't even had to mention the shot clock yet for Washington and Lee, just because their offensive efforts have come early in possessions, early in the clock. There's a drive and a rack attack. Really nice conversion there. Icy Kane, junior from Glen Allen, Virginia. Icy Kane is in the scorebook, 16-4. Generals on top by a dozen, defending the basket to our right. Kelly wants to drive again, shoots, rolled around, but wouldn't fall. Rebound by Lauren Actor. 5'11" seniors providing a nice post presence right now, along with Kat Pettigrove. Traveling violation on Washington and Lee. Mary Slicer will check back in. Yeah, you notice with Pettigrove and then Actor, two of the other posts, they run like guards too. So a little bit like Mary Slicer, they really get up and down the court. This entire Washington and Lee club moves very, very well. Lynchburg's got an athletic lineup out there now, especially when you factor in the return of the player with the basketball. That's number 2, Olivia Harris. She's got a skill set where she can take over games at times. We saw that in a double overtime affair against Randolph-Macon in this gym last season. Olivia Harris really took over. Traveling violation on Bree Spainauer. So both teams have had their share of quote-unquote unforced errors. I think you could say a lot of the errors are forced by the defensive pressure, but coaches might tell you otherwise. Coaches might tell you should never drag that pivot foot or do some of the things that have become the cause for the violations in this one. Good ball movement. Kane will line one up from 3 and nail it. They actually call it a long 2. Foot was on the line there for Icy Kane, but man, that was a pure stroke. Net was just mildly disturbed on that one. That was how much of a direct hit it was for Icy Kane. 18-4. Lynchburg down by 14. Great backdoor cut from Casey Kelly, and she'll finish. Nice find from Bree Spainauer. That was executed well. Lynchburg will need more of that. Kane on the move, catching, but then lost the handle. Poked out by Kelly, and then over to Kate Littlejohn. Littlejohn up ahead to Olivia Harris. Three-pointer on the way, and it's good from Audra Petty. Here comes a little mini run for Lynchburg. 5 straight. Generals still doubling up the Lynchburg Hornets. Washington and Lee will look to restore some order to the game. It's Slicer spinning, shooting, no good. Lynchburg's defensive alignment and coverages have been really good on Mary Slicer so far. She'll go to the ground to try to recover the loose ball. Good sportsmanship there to help Mary Slicer up. And the possession arrow will be favoring the Lynchburg Hornets. Looks like Brooke Kaysen back in the game. Nice little run there for Casey Kelly. This is her first game back after an injury sustained off the court. Casey Kelly said probably could have got back a game or two earlier, but they didn't want to rush it. Just wanted to be careful. And Casey Kelly's in the mix there. Seems like all systems go for her. Spainauer hesitating, now shooting, got hammered by Slicer. And Bree Spainauer will go to the free throw line to shoot 2. It stops the clock with 36.4 seconds left in quarter 1. Pretty fast moving first quarter. Slicer has fouled out once this year, and that's kind of one of those old school themes that basketball coaches would talk about against another team's star player. Try to go at them, try to get them in foul trouble. Slicer plays an aggressive brand of basketball, but manages to do it without committing a lot of fouls. But she's always going to be around the basketball. She's always going to be around the mix for rebounding. So those kind of players do tend to pick up more fouls. She has fouled out once this season. Open 3 coming, open 3 in. How about number 30, Riley Bryant? Ringing up another one. Bryant is 2 for 2 from outside. And the lead is back to 21-9 for the Washington and Lee Generals. Very comfortable at 21-9. Washington and Lee, according to the live stats, is 4 for 4 from three-point land. Slicer has it, weaving through traffic. Down to 3 seconds, now 2. She sees the clock, window, and then in. What a play to finish an outstanding first quarter. Washington and Lee with some serious stuff. The Generals lead 23-9 after one period of play. We're back in about 60 seconds on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby. Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela Burgess. An incredible
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
Basketball inside Turner Gymnasium. Washington and Lee will begin the second period with possession. They lead 23-9. Hello again, basketball lovers. My name is Kyle Haney. Excited to be hanging out with you on a Saturday afternoon. The gales of November have come slashing outside. It's very windy. It was windy and cold last night. Lynchburg with a steal. Up ahead to Olivia Harris. She can't convert from the right side. Ball is free. It'll get saved into Slicner. She wants to run the floor. On target pass up ahead to Zoo Rain. 5'9" sophomore from Tampa. Zoo Rain is second on the team in scoring with 11.7 points per game. And she is the only general other than Slicner to average in double figures thus far. A reminder, Washington and Lee is just 3 games into their 2024-2025 campaign. Boy, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Washington and Lee, most recently, they beat Oglethorpe 79-60 on Sunday, beat Emory 84-79 on Saturday, an event that was down in Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. The area, anyway, we'll say, conservatively. And the other win for Washington and Lee was 69-61 against Southern Virginia to open the season. Slicner second on the way. She missed both. Front iron there, offensive rebound. Too many steps. Yeah, that's a traveling violation there. Take the basket off the board. And that was a theme for us in half number 1. Both teams had some, again, what we will refer to as unforced errors. Traveling violations. That's always interesting because each individual official is different. Each crew is different. Then you have your different points of emphasis every season. And sometimes you get more travels called. Sometimes the footwork is under a higher scrutiny. A little kick-out pass to go along the baseline by Bree Spainhour and find Brooke Kaysen. Lynchburg is not out of this. 23-12. Hornets will need a strong run. They'll need a burst at some point. They say basketball is a game of runs. Littlejohn took a save effort away. She'll run to the backboard. Might have been some contact there with Slicner on the chase down block, but no whistle. Play on. And the Generals are back in the front court left, leading 23-12. Slicner, power dribble, powers up, and scores. And that's what she brings. She can shoot over players. You can be in the exact right spot defensively. And Slicner is still a 50-60% shooter from the field, especially from that range. A 10, 12-foot area. That's really a honey hole for her. Yeah, she's going to be even higher if she gets closer to the basket. But that area there is just so good for Mary Slicner. And we mentioned she will step out and shoot the long ball some as well. Lynchburg with another miss. Need to really dig in defensively. Ashley Vandergrift is at the scorer's table, waiting to check in. There's a rebound left low post by Kate Littlejohn. And she'll offload to Brooke Kaysen. Kaysen into fourth gear. Now she'll step on the gas even more. Passes back to Taylor Brown, who has returned to the game. And Taylor Brown looked like she was fouled in the act of shooting. Or was this an on-the-floor foul? Yeah, officials are going to say it was not in a shooting action. Ashley Vandergrift has checked in the game. Believe she is the 8th Hornet to play. And prior to the contest, Allison Nichols, head coach for Lynchburg, was saying the rotation might be a little bit shorter today. Never know how the game's going to unfold, but said she envisioned maybe going to her bench just a little bit less in this one than Lynchburg had previously. They'll toss into Brown. She'll shoot over Slicner. That was in and out, no good. A bit of bad luck there, you could argue, for Lynchburg. And they'll hustle back, defending the rim to our left. Slicner's going to work through Brown. Brown's done a nice job on Slicner so far. High right elbow, one dribble. She'll fade away, shoot off the backboard and in. Sounds like a broken record, doesn't it? Mary Slicner's touch is just fabulous. And she can use that window, too. We saw that at the end of the first quarter. Beating the clock with a little fadeaway. Off the glass and in. 27-12. Vandergrift driving. Couldn't get around the stingy defense from Zoo Rain. Nice job to wall off there. Bree Spainhour will lean in. Very nice. Crafty there. Looks over the right shoulder. Then the little up and under move, finishing with the left. That's quality there from Bree Spainhour. 7 minutes to play in half number one. Again, a very fast-moving half. Little backdoor cut along the baseline. Zoo Rain pump and then finish, and she was fouled. Team foul number 2 in the quarter for Lynchburg. It'll send Zoo Rain to the free throw line. Generals 1 for 4 as a team from the charity stripe. All of them so far attempted by Slicer. So Zoo Rain will get 1 here with her team leading 29-14. Slicer's got 6 rebounds already. 16 for the Generals as a team. Lynchburg officially with just 3. Lynchburg is 1 for 4 from the charity stripe. Hornets officially listed with 4 turnovers. Washington and Lee listed with 7. Mullins will walk to the top of the key. Faking right, now passing left. Brooke Kaysen from outer space there. That was from deep. She can shoot him from out there, but still kind of grabs your attention. Slicer on the run. Snap pass to the right sideline. That ball deflected by Mullins, but Lynchburg can't come up with it. This is Riley Bryant surveying, now passing. Three-pointer off the mark. Offensive rebound for the Generals. They're really good on the glass in this one. Can't finish there. Contact inside. Whistle will blow and send Zoo Rain to the free throw line again. Well, we had just said she's second on the team in scoring, and plays like that make you realize why. Active around the ball. Good touch. She can play through some of that contact. If you asked her, she might tell you she should have finished that. But the free throw will not drop. Lynchburg is in action again at home against North Carolina Wesleyan Sunday from tomorrow. So that'll be December the 1st. And I think Allison Nichols is going to give the gals a little time off for Thanksgiving. They'll definitely get some practice in next week, of course, with some family time and some time to recover. Basketball's broken up in such an interesting way because you start your practice, you get a few games early, then you have the Thanksgiving break. Doesn't mean you can't play over that break and practice, but generally teams will take a little bit of time off. For Lynchburg, for example, it's just over a week. And then you get to play some when you come back. You get your exams, you get the end of the semester, you get a Christmas break, maybe some New Year's, and it really is a challenge for the coaches to see how they want to divide up the schedule. When do you schedule your games? How much rest do you give? Taylor Brown with a good little turn and knock down a shorty in the corner from Zoo Rain. Boy, she's got speed too. You can see that. Quick first step from Zoo Rain. Open, southpaw will fire, too strong. Rebounded middle of the lane by Brooke Kaysen. Lynchburg still getting doubled up. Oh yeah, Bree Spainhour got past the defense. That's an easy finish with the right hand. Good binoculars there from Brooke Kaysen on the find. And Lynchburg scoring points 17 and 18 of the contest. Reinforcements at the scorer's table for Washington and Lee. Looks like Icy Kane is one that will be checking back in. We saw good things for her early. Slicer doubled, passes out of it. In the corner to Bryant. Bingo. Washington and Lee continues to stroke it from outside. 3-point shooting numbers right now for the Generals are 5 of 7. 5 of 7 from outside. So you get 15 of the 34 from out there. In addition to shooting it at just a fantastic percentage. Speaking of fantastic, spin cycle from Bree Spainhour. Well, she's really looked solid in this one. Couple tough buckets, couple easy buckets from Bree Spainhour. Made one with a left-hand finish. Doing a little bit of everything. We know that's in her bag. Bree Spainhour has 6 now. 3 of 5 from the field. Spainhour 12 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists against Wilson. So she can really stuff a stat sheet. She's doing it tonight as well. For Bree Spainhour, this is start number 48 in her college career. She is just a junior. 48 starts, 53 games total. We'll take time here with just over 4 to play in quarter number 2. We'll catch a breather. Our score as we go to break is Washington and Lee 34, Lynchburg 20. You're watching it on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Vibes in the gym are good. Fans seem to be enjoying themselves on this Saturday afternoon before Thanksgiving. Well, it's on Thursday, so it's not like it's tomorrow. They didn't change it to a Sunday or anything. But you knew that, basketball fans. We will not have a women's game before Thanksgiving comes and goes. Next game for these Hornets will be Sunday, December the 1st. Men's team will be in action this Tuesday night, hosting Methodist, however. And we'll bring you that one on LHSN. We'd love for you to check us out in the gym or online. Here's Bree Spainhour again. Tried the left-hand finish. No good. Casey Kelly's there with an offensive rebound. Kicks out to Kate Littlejohn. She'll rattle home a three-pointer. Good after timeout result there for the Lynchburg Hornets. Not exactly how you draw it up, but the athleticism from Kelly kept that play alive after Spainhour really broke down the defense. And then you find the open shooter beyond the arc. Speaking of shooters, Washington and Lee has lit it up tonight. That one will not drop from outside. Another offensive rebound, a third crack at it. Pettigrove went down low, then got tied up by 3 separate Hornet defenders. Possession arrow. Possession arrow on the scoreboard has it given it to Washington and Lee, but I think maybe they just changed it over at the table early. But it is Lynchburg possession as Olivia Harris will stalk her way into the front court. Tight player-to-player coverage from Washington and Lee. Both teams have been in that all game. Littlejohn, a side step into a 3. That one too strong. Saved in, still a scramble for it. Who's got it? It's going to be Washington and Lee ball. Lynchburg down by single digits, so this is a good little mini run again. We saw one of these really around this time left in the first quarter. It's an 11-point deficit, as Josh Smith points out. Mathematics never the strong suit. 34-23. Lynchburg might be down single digits now. If they score here, we'll file that under foreshadowing. Harris gets through the lane, slapped on the forearms and wrist. So Olivia Harris will go to the line to try to make it a single-digit deficit. But still, regardless of the bad maths, still a good fight back here from Lynchburg. Got to remember, this is a Washington and Lee team that is averaging 77 points per game. And the way they're shooting the three-pointer, I feel like maybe averaging 80, 85 is not completely out of the question for the Generals, especially with the pace that they play at. That's the other thing. They get up and down, they go, they get shots up, and they get them up early in the shot clock. It almost doesn't matter how good your defense is. Washington and Lee are going to find a way to get up looks, and more often than not, they're quality looks. Motion offense here. They'll screen away from the ball. Haven't seen much screening for the ball. There's a long 17-footer dropped in by Icy Kane. Fabulous shooting performance really all the way around for Washington and Lee. We've talked about the long-range shooting, beyond the arc shooting, but even inside the mid-range, they've got that going as well. Mid-range is not dead with Washington and Lee. Good drive from Olivia Harris. She'll finish at point-blank range. Back to a 10-point deficit for Lynchburg. See if the Hornets can get a stop here. Kate Littlejohn, fabulous takeaway. Used the long wingspan there. She'll angle in. Count it. Lynchburg is down single digits. 36-28. Kate Littlejohn, transfer, played basketball for Roanoke last year. There's a timeout on the court. Let's stay here for this one. With 91 seconds left to play in half number 1. Kate Littlejohn, sophomore from Holly Springs, North Carolina. Started 15 for the Maroons of Roanoke last year. And she's another one that can do a bit of everything with her skill set. Averaged 7.9 per game last year, scoring 3 rebounds per game, 1.5 assists per game. She's got length, 5'9" on the roster, but seems to play a little bit bigger than that with the longer wingspan, and the speed helps there too. A 5'9" player with speed all of a sudden becomes almost like a 6-footer or a 6'1", and Littlejohn has that. Good little combo, inside-outside kind of guard. We've seen Kate Littlejohn hit a 3-pointer. Just a fabulous kind of anticipation takeaway there to just get a fingertip on that ball, and then the real key was to keep it in bounds and then go down and score it as well. Kaysen, Littlejohn, Brown, Harris, and Petty for Lynchburg. Washington and Lee having to work hard. Shot clock did get down to single digits. Lynchburg can't secure the rebound. Fresh 20 up on the board for the Generals. Not that they'll need it. Icy Kane holds the ball over her head, looks at the defense, one dribble. Slicner for 3. That's off the mark, wide left. Another loose ball, scramble for it. Dive after it, whistles coming for the jump ball. Like the intensity, like the passion there from both teams. Lynchburg's not going away. You know they're going to play hard. And it's been a trait of Allison Nichols' squads, not just in her time at Lynchburg, but in her previous stops. If you don't know, Allison Nichols is really an ODAC lifer. She spent time as the head coach at Roanoke, also Randolph, and she played at Bridgewater. So she's got 4 really good ODAC schools covered there. And she said she enjoyed her time at those other spots, but she feels like she's home here at Lynchburg. Grew up just down the street, played her high school basketball for Warner Dyke and the Brookville Bees. Brown stepping into one from the free throw line. No good. Love the form there. Right idea. Lynchburg down 10 with 22 seconds left to play in the half. Bucket here would be big for the Generals. A little cushion, a little momentum going into the locker room. Slicner, high post, looks around, one dribble. Snap pass to Actor. Actor will drive on Brown and get fouled. Lynchburg bench cannot believe it. Taylor Brown with a little confirmation from the official there, and perhaps pleading her side of the case as well. It'll send number 24, Lauren Actor, to the free throw line. And if you look at the stat sheet, Actor averaging just over 10 minutes per game right now. 1.3 points per game. And I think her participation and impact is going to go up. Lauren Actor, a senior from Wyckoff, New Jersey. Remember her in years past as being a really good one. Missed the second one. Lynchburg will have a chance to get something off before the horn. Got to hurry, though. Down to 2 seconds. One. Brown got it off in time. Might have been partially blocked by Slicner. And that's how half number 1 will end. Generals lead by 11, but the Lynchburg Hornets showing some fight in quarter number 2. And have a chance here in the second half to make some noise. We'll step aside for a bit, bring it back with some halftime numbers and analysis, and the third quarter will be here before you know it. Washington Lee 39, Lynchburg 28 on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
When you come to the University of Lynchburg to earn a master's degree in athletic training, you'll spend time in the classroom, but you'll also spend a lot of time in our top-notch facilities, learning from athletic trainers and working closely with our student athletes. In the Graduate Cadaver Lab, you'll learn about the human body in the best way possible, by actually studying the human body. This will provide a foundation to make you a much better athletic trainer. In the athletic training laboratory, you'll get hands-on experience, practicing your skills, applying concepts from the classroom, and working with faculty on research projects. It's also where our hydrotherapy facilities are. This space is also used by students for studying and practicing skills outside of class time. In the Sports Medicine Clinic and Turner Gymnasium, you'll work with student athletes from more than 20 NCAA Division III sports teams, helping get them back to practice and into the game as soon as possible. As an athletic training student, you're a big part of the success of our sports teams and the success of the local athletic teams. We see this relationship as a win-win situation. You learn, and that helps us win.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Look what you're missing!
Being in college taught me to strive and be the best athlete I can be, but also the best student I can be. My coaches always made sure that the student comes first, because not everyone's going to become a professional athlete. So they make sure that we will do great in academics. I knew that would only open the door to my future, and I'm really excited to start my dream program for physical therapy.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby.
Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela Burgess. An incredible finish by Hall.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
A single thread is unique. Like each of us, full of purpose and potential. A strand designed to connect, strengthen, and unite. But we face different challenges and have different opportunities. By acknowledging that others may struggle in ways we do not, we can celebrate our differences, embrace each other, and fortify the ties among us. A single thread can fray, yet when it's woven with another, a bond forms. A new strength created by the fabric of the whole. Let's embrace the fabric we make together, the diversity of our threads, to reach beyond ourselves and overcome the impossible. The true power of our game comes from unifying our individual backgrounds, connecting our unique stories, enabling us to be stronger, braver, greater. We can achieve so much more when we are all as one.
What a season! The confetti is going to fall.
There she goes, and she's got it! How sweet is this, and how wonderful for the sport.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal
Hello again, basketball fans. Kyle Haney hanging out with you on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. We're having fun. It's a Saturday afternoon. We're kind of in Thanksgiving break mode, although I think Josh and myself will be here for the men's game on Tuesday. But we digress. There's your halftime score. Washington and Lee leading at Lynchburg 39-8. A better second quarter for the Lynchburg Hornets. Let's get to that in just a moment. Some team numbers for the Washington and Lee Generals. They're shooting over 50% from the field. That's 15 of 29. They actually missed quite a few in close. Got some offensive rebounds. Generals are rebounding well. They're winning that rebounding battle right now, 26-11. So it's a plus 15 in the rebounding margin for the Generals. Three-point shooting from Washington and Lee has stood out. They are 5 of 11 from beyond the arc. That equates to 45.5%. Free throws just 4 of 9, leaves a little to be desired there for Coach Brittany Kemp. Washington and Lee led right now in scoring by number 30, Riley Bryant. She has 15. Mary Slicener has 9 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. Only player with 2 fouls for Washington and Lee is Quinn McGinnis. There are 3 others with 1 foul apiece. Let's look at some numbers for the Lynchburg Hornets. They're shooting just 35.5% from the field. That's 11 of 31. 4 of 10 from downtown. Couldn't get one to drop early, and then Lynchburg started to heat up a bit with the long-range shooting. 4 of 10 is 40%. Lynchburg is 2 of 6 from the free throw line, so much like Washington and Lee, a little to be desired there. Lynchburg, 3 steals, no blocks. Couple players with 2 fouls for Lynchburg. That includes Olivia Harris and Taylor Brown. Lynchburg and Washington and Lee, we both said, had some turnover struggles. Lynchburg listed officially with 4 turnovers, and Washington and Lee 8 giveaways. So I think both coaches in the locker room had some positives and some negatives to talk about, and probably some in between there. Maybe it was a good, bad, ugly concept for Allison Nichols for Lynchburg, and then also Brittany Kemp for Washington and Lee. As far as tactical adjustments, really you have to argue Lynchburg's done a pretty good job at shutting down the preseason All-American Mary Slicener. She does have 7 rebounds. You're not going to completely eliminate her ever. She's that kind of player. And there is a danger in giving her too much attention because it opens up everybody else a bit more. Slicener is an outstanding passer, but I think overall Lynchburg's game plan has been sound, and they've executed it for the most part. When she catches the ball, she faces a double team. When the shot goes up, she's got at least one body trying to box her out, if not 2. The rest of the game plan for Lynchburg, I don't think anything wrong there. Hornets are going to need to shoot it better. And, again, sometimes the stats lie. They don't tell the whole story. But look, Washington and Lee is over 50% from the field. Lynchburg is not. Lynchburg is 35.5% shooting from the field. Sometimes you just got to make the shots. There's other things involved in that, of course. Good passing leads to open shots. The dribble penetration. You can get defense with the turnovers and the steals. And Lynchburg has done that. We've seen a few run-outs for Lynchburg that has come from good defense and transition ball movement to get to the basket. Washington and Lee's running game has been stymied a bit by Lynchburg. We know the Generals like to run. You just look at their pace of play and their scoring numbers. Washington and Lee averaging 77.3 points per game, and they're averaging just under giving up 67 points per game. So they play at a high pace. They score a lot. They do tend to give up a lot of points, they being Washington and Lee. Lynchburg has done a decent job of making this somewhat of a lower scoring game, although if you just look at the average, Washington and Lee at 39 points in half number 1, well, that would get them over their scoring average on the year if this pace keeps up. So maybe Lynchburg would prefer a bit of a slower game. Washington and Lee has done well in the half-court offense. Cannot take that away from them. Individually for Lynchburg, boy, their scoring is really spread out. Lynchburg's had 8 players play. Let's check that, because Ashley Vandergriff has played as well. So I think Lynchburg's actually played 9, and 7 have scored. 7 players are in the books right now. Lynchburg led in scoring by Brooke Kaysen and Bree Spainauer. They've got 6 points apiece. Hornets will begin half 2 with the basketball, working right to left from our perspective up here in the press box inside Turner Gymnasium. And I mistakenly said Lynchburg could cut the deficits to single digits, or that it was at single digits. They have a chance to do it again. Brooke Kaysen's shot hit the side of the backboard, but an offensive rebound by Spainauer. She went up and had Slicener on her back. Spainauer not able to convert. And those are the opportunities. If you're going to spring an upset, if you're Lynchburg, you have to convert those. And I don't mean the three-pointer. I mean the offensive rebound and then a close-range effort from Bree Spainauer. You feel like you have to convert. Not a 100% level, because nothing in basketball happens at 100%, but you got to convert a bunch of those and take advantage of all those opportunities. Ball does spill out of play, so it'll give Lynchburg another opportunity. Starting quarter number 3 for the Hornets, Kate Littlejohn, she has the ball. Olivia Harris, Taylor Brown, Bree Spainhour, and Brooke Kaysen. We'll run down the Washington and Lee starters for this third quarter in a moment. Grab and go from Bree Spainhour. She went up on Slicner again, hit the padding on the backboard. Spainhour in trouble. She'll jump out of it, trying to throw to Olivia Harris, but they will call a 3-second violation on Bree Spainhour. And yes, the rule does say that the player with the ball can be whistled for the 3-second violation. That is one that is kind of produces mixed feelings for basketball fans. If you have a big post player that just kind of camps out, hold that thought. Great steal from Olivia Harris. She'll hesitate. Now scoop to the basket. Slicner altered it. You look at all of Lynchburg's possessions here in the early third quarter. Slicner has altered the shots, if not outright blocked them. Couple on Bree Spainhour, that one there on Olivia Harris. And she recovers so well, runs the floor so well. Lynchburg to inbound. Kaysen looking around. Lobs high for Bree Spainhour. Got it back. Hornets will work it around the horn. We'll get back to the 3-second discussion here in a bit if we see another one. I think we've had 2 so far in this game today. Left wing, Harris thinks about the pass, decides to shoot. No good. Rebound controlled by Riley Bryant. Bryant had a good half for Washington and Lee. She's on the court with Quinn McGinnis, Mary Slicner, Zoo Rain. Shot goes in there for the Generals. And we're missing one more for Washington and Lee, who we will identify in just a moment when the jersey turns in the direction that we can see. It's number 10, Elka Preckle. She didn't play a ton in half number 1. Dribble drive from Harris, no good. Tried to wrestle it back. Couldn't get there. They'll call it jump ball. Lynchburg might have gotten the best of that. You could argue maybe Harris went in, committed a foul there. 7:49 left to play in the third quarter. Hornets have been hanging around Washington and Lee. A few moments where they look like they might pull away in this one. They were up 15 or 16 at one point, they being Washington and Lee. Generals are undefeated at 3-0. Lynchburg 1-4 this year. Off to a slow start. Some tough competition. Not having the full resources as far as player personnel, part of that too. All teams go through injuries as number 14, Quinn McGinnis, drains one from the left wing. And now the game is starting to get away from Lynchburg a bit. Kate Littlejohn will direct traffic with a left-hand dribble. Good defense from Quinn McGinnis. Low post entry, pass knocked around. Bree Spainhour grabs it back. She'll look around, doesn't want to shoot on Slicner this time. Now it's Olivia Harris. Bounce pass down low. Lynchburg's really had a commitment to trying to get it into the low post. And the shot was altered and blocked. Slicner took too many steps. The argument from Washington and Lee might be that the ball was poked away, but the officials argue it's just a traveling violation. 44-28. Washington and Lee on top, and I would argue in charge until something changes anyway from the Lynchburg Hornets. Kind of an overload to the right side. Basketball in Littlejohn's hand. She was the only player on the left. Brown lost it. Strip search, takeaway. Generals running but not scoring. Foul in the act of shooting. Zoo Rain will head back to the free throw line to shoot 2. Zoo Rain spent some time here in the first half. 2 of 3 from the charity stripe. Washington and Lee is back in action on Sunday, December 1st. Just like Lynchburg, they will take on Marymount. And these teams will meet again. The conference schedule is a little bit interesting, maybe to say the least. You play 4 or 5 teams in the conference twice. In the rest of the league, you only play once. So right now, the rotation has Lynchburg and Washington and Lee meeting multiple times each season. February 8th in Lexington. Mark that one on your calendars. Rebound, Bree Spainhour. Kind of got trapped in the corner there. Washington Lee jamming the rebounder. That's what some coaches used to call that. When you don't get the offensive board, just stay glued and attached to whoever got the rebound and don't let the other team get out and run that way. Jam the rebounder. You can really slow a team down and in some cases get the basketball back like we saw right there from Washington and Lee. Timeout on the court. We'll catch a breather as well. Our score, Generals 45, Hornets 28, third quarter action on LHSN.
Discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Welcome to the Campus Recreational Department at the University of Lynchburg. We believe in a student-centered approach to recreation, making sure that all students have fun and engaging activities that promotes wellness, personal growth, and community building.
Our team works to provide a variety of recreation opportunities for all our undergrad and graduate students.
Let's take a look at the different areas of Campus Rec.
The Lynchburg Hornets stay in their timeout huddle just a little bit longer than Washington and Lee. It'll be Generals baseline ball inbound coming up on the court for Washington and Lee. Looks like the same three that began this third quarter. Slicner, Rain, Bryant, McGinnis, and Preckle. 45-28. This is an extra possession for Washington and Lee that came after a lost rebound from Lynchburg. Another traveling violation, though, for the Generals. I believe they've got 10 turnovers at the moment. Hasn't slowed Washington and Lee down too much. It did allow Lynchburg to gain some ground in the second quarter. Hornets need a bucket. Not quite desperation time yet by any means, but again, you can't let this Washington and Lee club get too far out in front of you. Got to keep them within arm's length. Washington and Lee last year was 29-3. Only 3 teams cracked the code to beat this General squad. One was Wartburg in the NCAA quarterfinal. The Sweet 16. No, that would be the Elite 8, actually. I beg your pardon, basketball fans. You know that. Washington and Lee losing in the Elite 8 last year. Although apparently the NCAA likes to reserve that term for the Division Ones. But the quarterfinal, we're down to 8 teams. 45-28. Slicner, great air pass there. So it wasn't an alley-oop. She didn't catch it and shoot it in the air, but she caught it and passed it in the air. And that is one thing she's really good at, passing in the air. It's something that in the old days, quote-unquote old days, air quotes, the coaches would tell you never to do. Don't get in the air and pass, because what if your option is taken away? Then you come down and you might travel. But the modern game, all those new school players, they pass in the air all the time, and it really is a great way to break down a defense. It's a great way to break down the defense too. Basket by Icy Kane. Yeah, she's got a dangerous shooting stroke. A live right arm. Great touch. Great feel. Icy Kane, a junior from Glen Allen. Fabulous stuff. Came into the ball game averaging 5.3 points per game. Icy Kane. Shooting 73% from the free throw line. A lot of times that's a tell about how good a player's shooting form is. You look at the free throw numbers. Because there's no defense involved. Yes, there's pressure involved as Olivia Harris will catch a weak side rebound on a missed three-pointer. They'll go downstairs to Brown again. She goes away from the basket and Slicner. Got the shot to the front of the rim, but then it caroms out of play. Subs in the ball game include Macy Mullins and Casey Kelly for Lynchburg. Brooke Kaysen, Taylor Brown, and Kate Littlejohn stay for the Hornets. They'll call this the media timeout. We can stay here and look at some more numbers again and look down the schedule for Lynchburg and Washington and Lee. In fact, let's go that route before we get to some of those statistics. If you look at the Washington and Lee schedule, I mentioned 3-0. Wins against Southern Virginia, Emory, and Oglethorpe to start the season. They're back in action 1 week from tomorrow, December 1st. That's a Sunday. They will host Marymount in Lexington. Then they hit the road December 4th at Bridgewater. That'll be an Old Dominion Athletic Conference game, of course. And then it gets fun for Washington and Lee. They're going to take a West Coast trip. They will head out to Oregon to take on Pacific and Willamette University. That's December 15th and 17th. Just a short little trip out to the West Coast for Washington and Lee. Then they'll have a breather from the 17th to December 29th. They'll be in Lexington, Kentucky for a little 2-day event there. So the rest of 2024 will be busy for Washington and Lee. For Lynchburg, they are hosting North Carolina Wesleyan a week from tomorrow, Sunday, December 1st. They'll be at Hollins on Wednesday, December 4th. Conference game there. And then hosting Eastern Mennonite. EMU comes to town on Saturday, December 7th. A game against Emory and Henry, Franklin and Marshall, Webster. That'll close out the month of December. Lynchburg will play Thursday and Friday, December 19th and 20th, and then they're off until January 5th, 2025. Lynchburg a little cold from beyond the arc here in quarter number 3, and that's part of the reason why they haven't gained any ground. In fact, the Hornets have lost ground. First half, they were 4 of 10 from the three-point line. There's a three-pointer, no good from Icy Kane. We were marveling at her shooting stroke just a few moments ago, but can't get that one to drop from the left side. Lynchburg trying to cut into this 19-point deficit. Mullins in trouble, threw it away. Kane grabs the loose ball and then looks around, offloads to Brianna Shuttlewood. Brianna Shuttlewood, sophomore in the ball game, and appears to be running the point guard spot for the Washington and Lee Generals. Oh yeah, great penetration there by Kane, and then leaves a gift for Kat Pettigrove right on the doorstep. Kane did the hard work there, breaking down the defense, drew 2 defenders, and then a fantastic pass to Pettigrove, who had it pretty easy from that point forward. Generals by 21. It's probably more in line with what their expectations were. And when you just look at the stats and look at the results from last year, maybe a bit more in line. Kate Littlejohn with speed and bounce to the rim, got fouled on the floor. Last year, let's talk about those results. Last year, Washington and Lee won this ball game twice, 96-69. Second contest was closer, 75-62. I mean, still a 13-point win for Washington and Lee. But back to, that's kind of where their standard is at right now. When you only lose 3 games in a season and you make a deep postseason run, you not only expect to win, you expect to blow some teams out as well. Washington and Lee did that last year. They'll do that again this year. Bree Spainhour couldn't convert with the right-hand reverse style. Lynchburg down 21. Kane, show and go, pulls up. Too strong. Kate Littlejohn with the rebound. Head up, passes to the far sideline. Harris got to the edge of the paint and then kicks it back out. Ooh, traveling violation there on Brooke Kaysen. Just did not get the dribble started in time. Back to that footwork. Officials call that in a way now that you really got to be clean, really got to be perfect. 10 years ago, you'd see that all the time. And at the lower levels, you still see it some, of course. But Division III, Old Dominion Athletic Conference basketball, again, it's got to be by the book. Our officials do a fantastic job of keeping the game fair. Offensive rebound into conversion there. Lauren Actor. Washington Lee has been great on the glass in this one. It's really been a big part of their success. They're winning the rebounding battle right now, 35-20. So still plus 15 in that margin. And we can dig a little bit deeper and find out how many offensive rebounds the Generals have. Spainhour along the baseline. Kaysen, corner 3, won't fall. Kane picks it up. Got a little trouble with the handle, but she has it now. Casey Kelly, Kate Littlejohn, Brooke Kaysen, Olivia Harris, and Bree Spainhour on the court right now for Lynchburg. Very athletic 5 for the Hornets. But the Generals, they've got an athletic squad up and down the roster. Lead pass was slightly off target. Harris had to go get it, and then she'll score. Coach Allison Nichols wants to take time for the Lynchburg Hornets. We will observe this breather here with the score. Washington and Lee 51, Lynchburg 28. Late third quarter action on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Washington and Lee, ball out of the Lynchburg timeout. Kyle Haney hanging out with you. 1:15 left to play in quarter number 3. It's a 21-point Washington and Lee advantage. Just looking at some more of the statistics, and there's plenty to choose from in the game of basketball. We invite you to follow along with the live stats at lynchburgsports.com. I think it's a great way to watch a game. Washington and Lee not dominating that offensive rebounding battle quite like I thought. 11 offensive boards for the Generals, 7 for Lynchburg, and it's just 8 second chance points for Washington and Lee. Felt like it was more than that. The overall rebounding battle is a big advantage for Washington and Lee. Overall, it's 37-22, so still plus 15 in the margin there for the Generals. But it's significantly more on the defensive rebounding side rather than the offensive boards. Left mid-post, Spainauer looking for space. Had the shot blocked, but she was fouled. This one's going against Actor. It will send Bree Spainauer to the free throw line left with just over 44.8 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Spainauer came into the game shooting 50% from the line. Lynchburg 70% as a ball club. Every coach would tell you that number should be higher. They'd love to be at 100%, but again, just not realistic. I think Lynchburg will be fine from the free throw area this season. Always a big difference in shooting those under pressure. You get sometimes a lower volume gym, not as many fans, and in a game that's not close, the free throws become very easy. You get one of those code red games, you go on the road for an ODAC opponent, full gym, student section yelling at you. All of a sudden the goal seems to shrink and the free throw number goes way down. Late in games, obviously there's some pressure there. Great use of the backdoor cut again. Washington and Lee, you can tell, very schooled up on the offensive principles. They know how to use the space. They know how to use the defensive pressure against you. And they've done that all night. Kate Littlejohn, catch and drive. Ball's up, shot's no good. Actor gets a rebound. She's really been in the mix the last 2 or 3 minutes. It'll stop the clock with 1.6 seconds left to play in the quarter. So let's see how Washington and Lee opts to proceed. You got time for a dribble or two. But the Generals actually will not even attempt a buzzer beater. They will go into quarter number 4, leading by 22. It's Washington and Lee 53, Lynchburg 31. Final 10 minutes of action coming your way next on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
Look what you're missing.
It really don't matter to me. I'm just happy to be here. I might go crazy.
Diving in college taught me to strive and be the best athlete I can be, but also the best student I can be. My coaches always made sure that the student comes first, because not everyone's gonna become a professional athlete. So they make sure that we will do great in academics. I knew that would only open the door to my future, and I'm really excited to start my dream program for physical therapy.
Three quarters in the rear view mirror. We've got 10 more minutes of regulation in the windshield. If Lynchburg wants to force the overtime, it would have to be a monumental comeback, down 22. You watch those highlights and you scan box scores, it seems like comebacks like this happen all the time. But I think the stats would tell you it's pretty rare. Lynchburg would have to get hot from outside. They'd have to probably play a quicker up-tempo brand of basketball. But not completely out of the question. And if you're Washington and Lee coach Brittany Kemp, you probably mentioned that in your quarter huddle break there. He probably said, hey, look, we're up 22, but let's keep playing hard. Don't give them any life. Let's get the starters back out here for the first part of this fourth quarter, which looks like what you have for Washington and Lee. And let's make sure we put this game to bed and get a good result. Brooke Kaysen for three. That'll go. A great start to the quarter for Lynchburg. Took 30 seconds. Lynchburg's got it cut to 19. Slicener on the move. Kind of a line drive shot. Now Lynchburg will run. 3-on-1, fast break, bounce pass inside. Oh, can't close it from the right side there. Taylor Brown, frustrated. Great fast break offense. Kate Littlejohn at the controls there. Lynchburg will keep possession. Littlejohn, speaking of the controls, she's making sure everybody's in the right spot before the inbound happens. Referee, I think, was getting slightly impatient. She'll hand the ball to Littlejohn. Right-handed chest pass up top to Ashley Vandergrift, who's in to start this fourth quarter. She'll come off the Spainhour screen. Now it's over to Kaysen, back to Spainhour. Good ball movement here by Lynchburg. Dribble drive. Bree Spainhour can't convert with the running right-hander. Slicener was looking for it in traffic, but it never got to her. Hesitation from Kaysen. She kind of throws it off the wall. No good. Slicener with a rip-away rebound. And she will get whistled for a foul. Mentioned her aggressiveness. And it's part of the reason why she's so good. Look at Josh Smith, ladies and gentlemen, who is our outstanding producer and director, cameraman, and replay man. And he's a fantastic tennis player and just an all-around great guy. He's doing replays in a two-man crew. That's how good LHSN is. I'll pat us on the back, Josh. And he's got his new replay system as well that he wanted to try out. I think that's part of the reason why he did that. But it appears to be working. Littlejohn, middle of the lane, spins on a defender, shoots and scores. A 5-0 mini run to begin quarter number 4 for the Lynchburg Hornets. Still work to do. Slicener just inside the free throw line. Fakes one way, goes the other, and scores it with the looping right hand. Well, that's what you need to do if you're Washington and Lee. You've seen your lead cut into a little bit. Go to your star. Go to your thoroughbred there. Let her go to work. And again, Slicener's so good that if the defense sends 3 and 4 and 5 players in her direction, she will find the open player. At 6'1", she really does a nice job of passing over defenders as well. Height is a big advantage there, but she's skilled passing. It's not just her size and her speed. She is skilled as well, and that's the only way you can get the numbers that she has. If you're just a body, if you're just a large frame, well, you're going to have decent numbers, but you're never going to do what she did, become the Conference Player of the Year last year, a preseason All-American this year. Ashley Vandergrift will try her hand from straight away, well beyond the line, no good. General's out and running again. They'll lob it downstairs, baseline. Hornets did a good job to close off the paint there and trap the player. Riley Bryant now gets her hands on it. Here comes a pull-up jump shot. No good. Slicener's there. Had the shot partially blocked, but she just powered right through that to the hoop for 2 more. And she'll head to the line for an old-fashioned three-point play opportunity. The lead's back to 21 for Washington and Lee. Yeah, you saw it there from Slicener. Took some contact and the ball was redirected. You can see it on the screen. But she is powerful. And I know it might sound like a broken record the way we're talking about her, but she has a little bit of everything. Great touch and power. Official is going to ask for a shot clock reset here. I think maybe it didn't get started. Back to how good our officials are. It was only stopped for 3 seconds. It went from 30 to 27, and the official right away knew it. I think the fundamental from the official is you look at the clock, shot clock and game clock every time you touch half court or every time you get to the baseline. That's kind of one of the things they tell you to do as a ref. And yes, you got to keep your eyes on all the players as well. There's 10 of them out there. There's a basketball that you got to watch to see if that goes in or touches a line. Looks like Slicener drew a foul. No, she got called for the foul. The on the back, over the back call. Slicener saying that she reached over with her arms. And the replay told a little bit of the story right there. Slicener keeps gesturing with her arms saying, no, I just went over her. Bree Spainhour did a good job to back into her with the box out. It's good box out, fundamental there for any players watching. Don't just get the body to your opponent. Push them back and keep working them back, so you do have a better chance of getting that call. Nice backdoor cut by Brooke Kaysen. The feed from Bree Spainhour was accurate. Kaysen's got it back on the steal. Looks like Lynchburg wants to set up the offense. Little John, man, fastball inside to Spainhour, who is in the right place, streaking ahead. Good ball movement there from Lynchburg. No points to show for it. You see on the replay, Little John got knocked to the deck. Spainhour looks around, smart. Watch this one. Yeah, just whip it in there from Little John. That's fantastic. And a nice cut, speed run cut there from Bree Spainhour. First free throw goes. Lynchburg down 21. 58-37. No ties or lead changes in this game. It's been all Washington and Lee with the advantage. And they've seemed to steadily stretch the advantage out. Generals led 23-9 at the end of quarter number 1. Lynchburg cut into that a bit. Lynchburg actually won the second quarter by 3 points. Third quarter was a great one for Washington and Lee, a 14-3 advantage. That triple try will go. Generals start to heat up from outside again. Washington and Lee now 6 of 17 from beyond the arc, 35%, just over it. Lynchburg 5 of 19 from beyond the three-point line. There's a drive from Bree Spainhour. Got fouled again. Did nicely to go into the body of Lauren Actor, who was well stationed on the low block. Spainhour to the line again. She's been here a lot today. This one will not fall for the junior from King, North Carolina. And always try to make sure to mention that she is a two-sport star for Lynchburg, a member of that Hornets volleyball team that made it to the ODAC semifinal this year. Great season for Lynchburg on the volleyball side with their new head coach, Kevin Cardoza. And yes, I said star for Bree Spainhour because I think she is. She's not just a player. I think she is a star in her own right. You gotta think too. This is start number 48 for Bree Spainhour. She jumped into the starting lineup pretty quickly as a first year for Allison Nichols. Last season was there basically every game once volleyball ended. I think she came off the bench for the first couple, just trying to get the fitness and the legs down. And Bree Spainhour, you know, by the time she's done, great dribble penetration from Olivia Harris. Fantastic there. Lynchburg down 20. Still fighting, still fighting. Halfway through quarter number 4. But back to Bree Spainhour here before we move on. You know, you got to think between volleyball and basketball, she's spent over 100 games now in a Lynchburg Hornet uniform. And she could be closer to 200 by the time her career is over. There's a timeout on the court. We'll observe this one with the score. Washington and Lee 61, Lynchburg 41. You're watching ODAC Hoops on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Welcome back to Wayne Profit Court inside Turner Gymnasium. We're on the campus of the University of Lynchburg. Saturday hoops on Lakeside Drive. Washington and Lee leading by 20 at the moment. I'm Kyle Haney. Getting to watch two good teams here. I think for Lynchburg, a nice measuring stick against the ODAC's best. ODAC's best last year anyway, and a team that is predicted to be the conference champions again this season, the Washington and Lee Generals. Nothing gets handed to you. First-year coach for WNL, Brittany Kemp, knows that. She knows there is hard work to do. And she knows she inherited a talented ball club. That's got to be interesting as a first-year head coach. You're taking over a team that made it to the NCAA quarterfinal last year. You'd like to put your stamp and have a team kind of inherit your brand of basketball. But you also don't want to reinvent the wheel. As the shot clock got down to 2, Lynchburg had to hustle, and Slicner made the takeaway. She'll gallop into the front court, off the window, and down with the line driver. Slicner got fouled in the act of shooting. Slicner should have 18 now. We mentioned maybe a slightly quiet, quote-unquote, question mark first half for Slicner. She had 9. Looks like officially it's 16 points for Slicner. Scratch that. Now 17 as the free throw goes. Slicner's got 14 rebounds, by the way. 1 steal, 2 assists. No blocks. She's definitely altered shots. She's altered, redirected. She's got such gravity and so impactful as a player that I risk sounding like a broken record to keep talking about how good Mary Slicner is. Long 3 coming. Off the iron, no good. That was Audra Petty, freshman from Randleman, North Carolina, that stepped into that one nicely but couldn't get it to drop. Petty was a high scorer against Wilson in Lynchburg's win with 16. Slicner wanted to try the triple. That's no good. Icy Kane, aggressive, muscular rebound, but also couldn't find the goal there at the end of that one. Petty will dribble to the three-point line, hesitating, now driving on Kat Pettigrove. Rejection there from Pettigrove. 2 subs coming in the ball game for Washington and Lee. Zoo Rain back in, also Emily Strawn. Not sure we've mentioned Emily Strawn yet in the ball game, but she is in there now. And Emily Strawn has been in the game 3 minutes according to those live stats. Littlejohn will inbound for Lynchburg. Petty, she'll try it from deep. Had the distance but rattled off. Slicner rebounding, running. Where does she stop? Another one of those airborne passes. So good there. Here's Strawn with a ball fake. They'll go back to Slicner. Left low post, split the double, and got fouled. Stops our clock with 3:07 left to play in the 4th period. 64-41. Washington and Lee leading. The replays, I always call it, be your own referee. You can get a look. Of course, no referee would make the calls from standing up here. They're a little bit closer. Although one thing, back to the refs, the officials will tell you, we only get one angle. So sometimes a fan or somebody watching on TV is actually going to see it differently and quote unquote correctly, maybe. Whereas the referee, again, you only get one vantage point. Yes, there's 3 officials. Still doesn't make it easy. Casey Kelly has re-entered the ball game for Lynchburg. She'll join Bree Spainauer, Olivia Harris, Kate Littlejohn, and Brooke Kaysen. Looks like Slicner, Rain. Also, Riley Bryant out there for Washington and Lee. Brianna Shuttlewood on court as well. Generals might be in a zone there. Littlejohn found an opening and buried the triple right in front of her own bench. Let's keep an eye on Washington and Lee. They might be trying out some zone defense. We said most teams, or these 2 teams rather, not most, but these 2 clubs would favor the person-to-person defense. Littlejohn contesting Emily Strawn's jumper. Ended up carrying out of bounds. Ball will stay with Washington and Lee. It's a 20-point general advantage. Everybody at this level's got multiple defenses to go to. You're not going to see a team that just plays a man-to-man. But you certainly have your tendencies and things you favor and your defensive philosophies. All of those come into play as well. Traveling violation on Zoo Rain. She put the foot on the accelerator but just couldn't dribble in time. Subs in the game for Washington and Lee include Kat Pettigrove and Lauren Actor. So let's see if this is a a zone for the Generals, or I think it's still a person-to-person D. Yeah, it looked like Shuttlewood followed Harris through. And that's a good indicator. You watch the offense cut and see what the defense does. Does the player follow that person through, or do they stay in an area or a zone? You do have those matchup zones. Brianna Shuttlewood went down, didn't look great. She's going to hop up. Got a little bit of a noticeable limp there, but nobody from the athletic training side showing too much concern, and Shuttlewood didn't offer to come off the court, so she must be fine, so that's good to see. Lynchburg still down 20. Littlejohn got bothered by Strawn and then fouled in the estimation of the official. It's going to be 5 on Washington and Lee. Should be a 1-on-1 situation for Kate Littlejohn. 5'9" sophomore from Holly Springs, North Carolina. Played quite a bit for the Roanoke Maroons last year. Interesting when you look at the Lynchburg coaching staff. You have 2 former Roanoke Maroon players on the bench as assistants. That includes Sayre Brandstatter and Whitney Hobson. Sayre Brandstatter finished her playing career here at Lynchburg last year. Jumped right on the coaching staff. And even more of a connection, Allison Nichols was previously the head coach at Roanoke. This is, I believe, her 4th season as the head coach for Lynchburg. Second one coming up for Littlejohn. Yeah, not a 1-on-1. I beg your pardon. No 1-on-1s anymore. It's all 2-shot fouls on the women's side, and pretty much all the high school associations have gone to the 2-shot variety. 5 fouls in a quarter gets you in a penalty. And you know, really, you think about it, men's college basketball is really the only one still doing 1-on-1s. And they're the only ones that do 2 halves as well. In the NBA, it's 4 quarters and 5 fouls get you in the penalty. So when does men's college basketball make the change? Question mark. We'll see. Maybe never. 21-point advantage for Washington and Lee. Littlejohn will bounce to Olivia Harris. Fake the handoff to Brooke Kaysen. Now Harris needs somewhere to go. Closed out, needs to get rid of it. Bree Spainhour made herself available. Now it's Brooke Kaysen. Dribble drive. Wings it to the right side for Littlejohn. She'll drive. Got to the basket nicely, but could not finish. Scramble for it. Harris there. I believe Olivia Harris got fouled by Quinn McGinnis. There's an area that I think if you watch this game, you can identify as something that needs to improve for Lynchburg. That would be finishing those drives, finishing those layups. And rarely is a layup going to be uncontested, although Lynchburg has had a few of those today. But you got to be able to finish through the contact. You hope you get a whistle, but you can't assume you'll get a whistle. So you have to practice that. You have to practice with some contact. You got to play hard in the practice. And even in the drills, that's when you see the coaches break out those football pads and stuff and whack the players away. Yes, there's some ODAC football going on in Salem right now. Ooh, scoop reverse layup would not fall from Emily Strawn. Degree of difficulty was high. Bree Spainhour will put the foot on the gas. She tried to get it to Casey Kelly, who was cutting, and that was intercepted. About a 3.5-second difference between game and shot clock. So Washington and Lee can't completely run this out. They lead by 19, 66-47. Generals have the floor spread. Sometimes teams will just take the clock violation here in this situation, or they may try to score. Pettigrove catches, holds it up high, looks around. It looks like the Generals are running a play. Takeaway by Casey Kelly, down to 5. Oh, Kelly thought the shot clock was the game clock. She put up a half-court buzzer beater, what she thought was a buzzer beater, and she's having a little bit of a laugh about it. She thought that was the game clock. The game clock had 1.4, and now that restarts, and the contest will end. It's a Washington and Lee victory, 66-47. Generals move to 4-0 on the season. Lynchburg will fall to 1-5. And if you're Lynchburg, plenty to build on, plenty of positives from this and things to think about. Lynchburg was led scoring-wise by Kate Littlejohn with 11. Bree Spainauer had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. As usual, she fills up the stat sheet. Lynchburg was just over 25% from the field, 16 of 62 shooting-wise for Lynchburg. That number will improve as the year goes on. For Washington and Lee, they were led by their star, Mary Slicener, 19 points, 16 rebounds. She was 8 of 12 from the field. Riley Bryant, 15 points. Most of that was in the first half for her. General shot it much better than the Hornets, 43.9% from the field, and they end up getting victory number 4 of this season. Lynchburg, again, will fall to 1-5 this year. Both teams are back in action Sunday. Washington and Lee will host Marymount. Lynchburg will be in this gym Sunday, December 1st. Yeah, not tomorrow, Sunday, a week from tomorrow. Sunday, December 1st, our next women's basketball broadcast from inside Turner. The North Carolina Wesleyan Battling Bishops come to town. Stay up to date by visiting lynchburgsports.com and follow all the Lynchburg Hornets stuff on your preferred social media destination. Kyle Haney saying thank you for watching. Big thank you to Josh Smith for doing everything today, as he does so often. We've got a men's basketball broadcast inside Turner on Tuesday, and we hope to talk to you again, basketball fans. Have a great rest of your Saturday afternoon.